Barry, welcome back to RaithTV. How are you?
Yeah, it's good. Been a good week's training and really looking forward to tomorrow's game. 3
points, and the manner of the performance must have made your weekend extra special. It was a great result and a really good performance. How were you feeling after that?
Yeah, I was pleased for the players, taking on board everything we've been trying to help them with. You could see it in the team. It's 3 or 4 games now where we've performed really well in. But we need to keep it going. The message was clear to the players. It's the best teams are the consistent teams. So we've got to try and go and win another game and keep winning, try to win games and keeping that consistency. But I'm pleased that the performances they've been pretty good since I've been here. And there is games that we probably didn't deserve to lose. But there's been a few of the games that have been outstanding, like last weekend.
You spoke in your sort of interview after the game about style of the football that you would like to play. We talked before that game on last Friday about your standards that you like to set, and you said running, being on top of teams and things like that. As it now, we're starting to see that this implication of the work that you've been doing since you arrived on the pitch.
Well, I think the first week, if you think back to the Falkirk game we went through in the Cup, we saw lots of it in there. Yeah, and I think I want us to be a really hard-working team. I want us to be a team that excites the fans, a team that gives their all, and a team that we can all trust. And that's why we're trying to get that consistency. And there are a great bunch of boys in there who work really hard for the football club, and we just have to make sure that, as I said, and I know I keep sort of repeating myself, is getting that consistency, and that's a challenge we've put to them now. Right? Can you go and win again? And can you go and win again?
Yeah, you talk of consistency. You look at our sort of form that we've been on. There's a bit of win-lose form. So getting that consistency and trying to get some results back to back. From your own point of view, you wait weeks and weeks and weeks like buses for home games to come along, and now we've got sort of three out of the next 4 games, or last one there as well. So how important is it having that home advantage as well for that consistency?
Yeah, you've also got to remember, when we are talking about consistency, probably had the hardest games this season for Raith. Has been the hardest game so far this season, all on a line. Celtic away, Ayr away, Falkirk away, Dunfermline away. So they're all games that was probably the hardest period as a club this season, when you look back at fixtures. So it was and we were winning games in there. We lost a few ones that were. Even the Dunfermline game still sits in me a wee bit. We're 1-0 up at half time. I think there's a couple of decisions went against us. And I know you make your own luck, but I thought, I didn't think we deserved to lose that. And some of the other performances have been very good. So, lots of things, different parts to it. But as I said, we need to try and make sure that we bring our A game, and we try and do all the things that we want to do right, and hopefully get a result.
Well, you look at the Scottish Championship and Scottish football in general, everyone talks about how teams play each other so often, and now we are starting to see from your own time as a manager coming back up against teams that you've already featured, and Hamilton being one of them on Saturday. We had that great performance and result away from home during the week against them just a few weeks ago. So does that make it harder when you're coming up against the same teams so quickly, or is it actually easier because you can have it in the back of your mind how you're going to play and set up against them?
Nah, I think teams change. I think since the last time we played Hamilton, they changed their shape. They went to a back 3, so whether they do that tomorrow, I don't know. Player 3 with the player 4, we're prepared for both. So whatever they come with, but predominantly they've been a back 3 recently. So and they've changed up. They've signed some players. So I think John's managed to get the club back to him and gave him some players as well. So they're a strong side. You can see the players they've got. So they're going to be a hard team to beat, but one that we're capable of if I said we bring an A game.
And looking back at your own squad, you talk about consistency, trying to get some of those players back in as well. Sean Byrne, we've seen clips of Shawnee Byrne doing fitness tests and things like that. He's back in training, I believe, this week.
Yeah, it's still waiting for him. I still want to see how he reacts overnight tonight again, so we'll see how he is. And so it'll be good to get him back after 6 weeks. But we're on the other injury front. I've not seen my 3 strikers since I've been here. So yeah, they're still a long way off.
But Leivon's fairly close to
coming close, yeah. So he might be a week to 10 days, maybe, hopefully. So we'll see with that. George Guitau, the same. Obviously, he played in a game before he came to us a few weeks ago, and it was an injury in the game. Didn't realise that he'd had, and then it came a flare up a day or two later, which can happen sometimes. And he trained in a session and felt his knee, so that's why he's missed the last 4 or 5 weeks. So we're hoping in the next probably 2 weeks can we get him back training again. So yeah, just they're the ones that we're missing.
And you're looking, of course, as well. I know that as a manager, most managers as well like to look at it game by game. But once we get through Saturday, we have the challenge of Airdrie away as well on Tuesday night. So does that affect your scheduling much during this week and into next week?
I always just plan for the next game. I think, yeah, you can. I plan training, I periodise how we're going to do things, always a month in advance. But the actual real focus sits on the game that's coming next. It's a really difficult game for us, and then the Airdrie one, that's when I get back on Saturday night and I start to plan and think ahead for that.
And from the players' perspective as well, I suppose they'll be back in Sunday immediately after the game on Saturday to get focused for that game on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll be in all week. We'll be in for a good bit over the next wee while.
You've mentioned Hamilton, then they're coming down here. This league is getting very, very tight. We are looking up the way after last Saturday's result and performance. We don't want to get too carried away, but what we do know is that if we do get a good result over the next few weeks, we could be really challenging for that 4th position. What are we expecting from Hamilton, and how are we going to sort of match that challenge?
Well, the key message is we don't get carried away as players and staff here at the football club. There's a lot of work to be done. We've not done anything or achieved anything yet, so the focus is on the next game, bringing the same performance again, everybody being at it, and making sure that we give ourselves every chance of winning the game. So that's where we're looking at as players and staff, and because this game's hard enough, and you never know what's around the corner, so we have to make sure that all focus is just on the game of the weekend.
And there's some great news as well for your squad, as you've added an extension onto Kai Montague's contract. Kai's a young laddie that came in from East Kilbride in the summer, and a big step from East Kilbride into Raith Rovers for a guy at his age. How have you found Kai since you've been in as a manager?
I really like him. I like his attributes, his energy, his enthusiasm. If you've got energy and enthusiasm, you're 60-70% of the way there. I really like that about him. I was actually speaking today to a sports scientist. The structure of his body, we need to improve on that. You can see he's still developing, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the structure. But yeah, and technically we need to make him better, passing the ball forward, receiving the ball in better areas, receiving a ball where he can face both goalkeepers. Well, he can see both goalkeepers, the body shape. So. And probably the tactical side. So a load of all-round work, but the package that we have there at the moment is someone who is aggressive. He is technically good, but he's got that other attributes that he wants to run, and the type of player that will suit us.
As well as your time as manager of Aberdeen and working under the managers there as first team coach, you're also part of the youth development set up in the under 20. So is that a big part of your Arsenal as a manager for developing young players, and has it been your background since starting coaching? Yeah,
and I wouldn't say I was an expert from probably 16 down. It wasn't my. I was never below. I was never at that age groups. But yeah, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I've got a real depth of knowledge on that compared to, as well as the first team. So I know exactly how to develop a player. I know exactly how hard they need to work. So, for instance, here, Kai, Finlay Pollock, Aidan Marsh, they don't get the same training schedule as the first team. They're in extra days, they're in extra afternoons.
Okay.
So they do extra sessions because they are young players and they need to learn and they need to get better. And it's not punishment sessions, it's good sessions. Mm-hmm. It's for them individually to improve their technique. So yeah, they are. I still wouldn't class them as first team players. Well, I do class them as first team players, but the first team players, we still have a lot to learn, and we want to improve them and we want to make them go to the next level, and that's why we do it with them.
Brilliant. I mean, going back to Saturday's game then, we have been running a sort of double ticketing offer to try and get as many supporters down to Starks Park as possible, buying a ticket for Saturday's game against Hamilton, and then of course buying another ticket for the game against Queen's Park. How important is it going to be to cheer these guys on, to get the fans there? You saw the enjoyment after the game on Saturday afternoon against Partick Thistle. For you, for the players, for everyone, how important is it to have Starks Park busy and rocking?
Well, it's always busy. It's always the best way to be. If you imagine a player, imagine yourself, you're coming out on the football pitch and you hear that noise and you've got that fans there cheering you on. As you said, I think it was, we spoke about earlier today about even set plays, when you feel like they're soaking it into that goal, don't you? Listen, we need them there. They are the club. I've always said that, and I probably sound like I repeat myself, but it's fact. We need them. They are the club, and the more noise they bring, the better it gives our players a chance of winning.
Fingers crossed. I can't wait. All the very best. Cheers.
Thank you.